The pile of recent newspapers and periodicals that lay on a shelf in the sitting-room rapidly and invisibly levelled down to a mere handful of colour supplements. The Bagthorpes quite often all got the same idea at the same time, and quite often did not say a word to one another, each imagining him or herself to be the sole recipient of the particular inspiration. Tess playing her oboe, Rosie her violin, and William his drums had each been lacking in their usual total concentration. Visions of Caribbean isles and palm trees danced between them and their semiquavers. Each, in turn, began to think along the same lines. Mrs. Bagthorpe was in her room up to her ears in problems and was not involved. Nor was Jack, who was in the meadow trying to train Zero to beg, nor Grandma, who was in the kitchen cross-examining Mrs. Fosdyke on the finer points of bingo. Grandpa had gone away for a few days to play bowls. If he had been present, he would certainly not have gone in for competitions. He was a very non-competitive man, and the younger generation of Bagthorpes got all their drive from Grandma's side of the family. Mr. Bagthorpe was in his study reflecting bitterly on the unfairness of life. That Uncle Parker, who to all appearances did nothing but sit around doing crosswords, or else tear about the countryside putting the fear of God into old and young alike, should actually have won a Caribbean cruise simply by doodling with a form, was something Mr. Bagthorpe just could not take. He himself had already been sitting at his desk for nearly 2 hours, and all he had done so far was tear up 5 false starts to a script he was supposed to be doing. He would not have minded so much if Uncle Parker had won the prize by putting the right famous eyes into famous faces, or guessing where a football ought to be on a photograph, or something of that nature. It would even have been a fruitful source of sarcasm. But that Uncle Parker should have won a prize by using words, which were the tools of Mr. Bagthorpe's own trade, and which he felt to be more or less his exclusive province, was a bitter blow. Nothing would do, he decided, but that he himself should win an even bigger and better prize with a shorter and better slogan. He was not a man to sit around playing with ideas. The minute he got one, he acted on it. The critics often described his scripts as monumentally single-minded or ruthlessly one-track. Mr. Bagthorpe took these as compliments, and they may have been, of course. "Lear is monumentally single-minded," he would point out triumphantly. "Othello was ruthlessly one-track, so was Macbeth." Mr. Bagthorpe then abandoned his abortive script and went to the sitting-room to find any magazines that might be running competitions. He had often noticed them in the past, but had thought it beneath his dignity to enter them. He had also, like Jack, thought that nobody ever won them anyway. He was not pleased to find that the magazine shelf had already been rifled, and guessed immediately what was afoot. He did not much like the idea that his offspring were intending to win competitions too. It was, he knew, possible that he would end up by being a runner-up to one of them, Tess in particular, who was very good with words. He instantly resolved, therefore, to keep his own competition entering secret. He was sure he would win every one he entered, if everything was all square and above board, and he was not pipped by a member of his own family. If, however, the competitions were rigged, as he felt sure some of them must be, viz. Uncle Parker's success, and he did not win, then he would avoid loss of face. Mr. Bagthorpe was very bad at losing face. He did get ideas, however, and had one now. Competitions did not appear only in newspapers and periodicals. They also appeared on the backs, tops, and insides of grocery packages and tins. Uncle Parker's own success had depended upon the top of a sugar-coated puffball carton. He determined to raid the larder. This, he realized, depended on sidetracking Mrs. Fosdyke, who was not easy to dodge, because she darted hither and thither about the house all day with the rapidity and inconsequential tracking of a hedgehog. She could be in the bathroom one minute, a bedroom the next, and then back down the hall, following her own obscure method of housekeeping. He had to think of a way of keeping her out of the kitchen for at least 10 minutes,